Recently on my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Big D Geekdom 101, in case you don't know, I've been streaming Sentai because I got back into it. For some reason, I got hooked on it. And I had done a review of Mega Ranger here on the channel a long time ago. And I was going to do one on Ginga Man because I did see it, never got around to it. But I do want to review the most recent Sentai that I watched, which is Ninja Sentai Kakuranger from 1994. I was doing watch parties on Twitch almost daily trying to get through this show. 53 episodes and one movie. And I want to give you my thoughts on Ninja Sentai Kakuranger. Now, if you're somebody who got into Sentai or who is familiar with Toku because of Power Rangers, you will remember that they repurposed a lot of this footage from Kakuranger to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 3. So the Ninja Zords, the Shogun Zords, the Battle Borgs, and the ninja costumes were all borrowed from Ninja Sentai Kakuranger, and the actual ninja costumes they used when they did their transformation is what the Alien Rangers used, which is why it was always weird that these Alien Rangers from Aquitar looked like ninjas and did ninja moves. Well, Ninja Sentai Kakuranger is the original show, and I want to talk about it. So first and foremost, I had a great time watching this, and the reason why I got hooked on this show is because I fell in love with the characters. Sasuke, Jiraiya, Tsuruhime, I think those three, which is the Red Ranger, the Black Ranger, and the White Ranger respectively, had some of the best storylines ever. And the story's based on the fact that these young adults are of the same bloodline as the legendary ninja warriors that sealed the yokais away centuries ago. Well, in the very first episode, they end up accidentally releasing the yokai, and now it's up to Kakuranger to stop them. It becomes a typical show where you have like a monster of the week type of situation, and they have to get together and defeat the monster. Eventually, the monster turns giant. They have to call upon their mechs, which early in the series, they had Muteki Shogun, which is the Shogun Megazord. In this show, he's more of like a deity. He's one of three guardians. And then later in the show, they got the what's called Kakure Dai Shogun, which is what became the Ninja Zord. So when Power Rangers adapted it, they did it backwards, where they got the Ninja Zords first, then the Shogun Zords. In the original show, it was the other way around. And it was cool because they didn't even have access to Kakure Dai Shogun until deeper into the series, and they had to go earn that. There was a part in this show where they actually cut the story into two parts. There's part one and there's part two, so it's almost like, think of it like two seasons, but just in one continuous show. And part one ends with the Kakurangers deciding they're going to have to go and get basically the Ninja Zords, the Ninja Sacred Animals, Guardian Beasts. And part two starts with that. Now, the reason as to why I got hooked on the show, the characters, the choreography of the fights was unbelievable. Just beautiful to watch. Incredible. You know, the work that they put in was great. And also the writing of the show. Now, this will blow your mind, because it blew my mind. But the head writer for Kakuranger is a man by the name of Noboru Sugimura. Now, you may have never seen Kakuranger, but you've probably played some of the video games that he wrote. He wrote the storyline of Resident Evil 2, Dino Crisis 2, Dino Crisis 3, Clock Tower 3, and Devil May Cry. And he also helped out with Resident Evil 4. Now, I've never played Devil May Cry, but I know a lot of people love Devil May Cry. So you're getting the same guy who wrote that game writing this show. And early on in the show, one of the things they did differently from other Sentai is that they didn't do the thing where there are, there's like a boss, or there's like a villain that, gets the yokai together and sends them to Earth to attack. That's not how it's formatted. No, early on, the yokai are basically kind of all on their own. And then at one point early in the series, they introduced a character known as Junior. Now, Junior, his costume was repurposed by Saban in Power Rangers as Rito Revolto. But in the Japanese show, this guy is not one to be messed with. He does really, really messed up atrocities. He's goofy because he has a human form and he's always playing either guitar or piano. He's sort of this weird, like, kind of like this musical savant, but he's also a monster. So he's entertaining because he's fun to watch. But then a few episodes go by, and I'm not going to spoil it, where he does some absolutely dastardly things. Things that villains would never be allowed to do in Power Rangers because the shows would never allow it to be put on TV. We're talking about that type of hardcore stuff. And he ends up becoming my favorite character of the series. My favorite villain. Not my favorite character, my favorite villain. Jiraiya is my favorite character. Jiraiya is the Black Ranger, Ninja Black. And what makes him awesome is that he's basically the American ninja. He's Japanese, but in storyline, one of his parents is American. And so he speaks English, but not like English. It's not like he says Ninja Buraku. No, he says Ninja Black, like somebody who speaks English would say. And it's really entertaining to see him go through this and his character. And the big sort of cool part of this, which if you're a fan of martial arts and martial arts movies, you'll appreciate this. Jiraiya is played by Kane Kosugi. Now, you might not know who Kane Kosugi is, but you know who his dad is, at least if you've seen martial arts movies. His father is legendary martial arts actor Sho Kosugi. Now, you may be wondering, where have I seen him before? He was in movies like Revenge of the Ninja, Enter the Ninja, Ninja 3, Ninja Assassin. Yes, I know there's a pattern here, isn't there? But not just that. He was also in other both Eastern and Western films like Blind Fury. He was in The Scorpion King. That's right, the one with The Rock. And he's actually in 2 really good episodes of Kakuranger playing Ninja Black's, not father, but his master. And it's really, really good. The drama of this show and how they build up the characters' backstories and the different challenges they have to overcome, I think is incredible. Ninja Black has to deal with his grief. Ninja White has to deal with the fact that she has been lied to most of her life. I'm not going to go into spoilers. I don't want to, but see that what you will. And then Ninja Red, Sasuke, really, his thing is he's learning to become a great leader. The leader of this group is the White Ranger because she has the most experience, but in combat, he's the leader. And as the series progresses, he's put into these situations where he has to stand up, man up, and be a hero and be a leader. And I just loved it. There are episodes of this show that I absolutely adore. They had me cheering. They had me screaming. Look, if you've only seen Power Rangers Season 3, you have only seen about 20% of the footage from this show. There's a lot more storyline. So it's an amazing show, very bingeable, very addicting, but it's not perfect. And I want to get into the cons of the show. So I found myself really sort of digging the Junior character a lot. And at one point, he does go away and he's replaced by the real villain of the series, which is a character known as Dai Mao, the Demon King. Now, Dai Mao was his costume was repurposed as Master Vile in Power Rangers Season 3. But in the Japanese version, he's the king of all the yokai, a very powerful sorcerer with a very big, deep, dark secret about his origin that you don't find out until the last like 3 episodes of the show. So when he comes in, they build him up really well. Like the anticipation is there. He's not screwing around. He comes in, and there are a couple of great episodes that feature him really being a menace. But I found myself really being underwhelmed by him in comparison to Junior. Not to mention, there's a couple things that this show did that really bugged me, and it's unfortunate. I think the show may have peaked early. So with this show, you've got your episodic episodes like Monster of the Week, but then you've got like an ongoing storyline. And the episodes that have the ongoing storylines, the serialized episodes, are the more interesting ones. Now, the episodic ones are mostly still good. However, there's a streak of like 8 episodes in the Daimao era, which is part 2 of the series, near the end before the final arc, that drag the show on. There were times where there was weird monsters of the week that I wasn't really digging. The plots were getting weird, and it was episodic, and I was just sitting there waiting for the final arc to begin, and it didn't start till episode 50. So that was, that bugged me because I think the show is really stronger in its first half. And actually, right before you get to that arc, I think if you were to shave those 8 episodes down to like 3, and then you went right to the final arc, that would actually make the show better. That would actually really improve the show because it does drag. And I am sort of sitting there waiting for the big finale and what the big twists are going to be. And because they usually with these shows give you some extra bit of data near the end that kind of puts everything together. Mega Ranger did it, Die Ranger did it, Jew Ranger did it. They all kind of do it. Well, not all, but most of them do. So the storylines usually wrap up well. This was not my favorite finale. And the one thing that I love so much about Die Ranger is that Gosei Sentai Die Ranger, the final 10 episodes or so are some of the 10 best Toku episodes ever. Not just Sentai. We're talking about all of Toku. The last 10 episodes, that crazy final story arc in Die Ranger blew my mind. And no other Sentai has ever been able to get me that addicted to watching, the next one, the next one, the next one. It is without question, like, dude, Die Ranger is the best Sentai of all time. You need to go see it. It's on a different level. But Kakuranger didn't have that. It had a good 4-part finale. But those 8 or so filler episodes, I think, went on for too long and it kind of trailed off. So there's not much to say about that. The first half of the series has this wacky host who is actually talking to the audience. He's giving the backstory of the yokai. He's making jokes. He's giving like trivia questions. That's for the first half of the show. Second half of the show, he's not there. The show gets a little bit more serious. Still wacky, but a bit more serious, so he's not there. But they do bring him back for a really, really creative episode where he does this like investigative journalism on the lives of the Kakurangers, how they eat, how they sleep, how they work together. Really, really fun stuff. They did a great job with that. I just wish that those last 8 episodes were not the last 8, but the 8 episodic episodes, filler episodes. I wish they cut those down because, dude, if you were to cut that down, this is an almost perfect show. I loved it. I love the message at the end, even though it's a little bit corny. The choreography is great. They introduced these female ninja rangers that challenge the Kakuranger, and it becomes a thing where every time they face off against each other, one gets the upper hand because they're always training. So, I mean, if you're into like anime, like shonen stuff, you're going to gobble this show up. I mean, I know people who watch Naruto who think that Jiraiya and Sasuke are names that were in Naruto. They were in Kakuranger first. Now, those names do go back centuries. There's a much deeper story behind those names. But if you like ninja stuff, if you like Ninja Turtles, Naruto, any kind of shonen, Ninja Gaiden, anything that's just cool martial arts action, swords, giant mechs. I mean, the show has it all. What a great experience it was watching this. Those damn 8 episodes pulled the series down for me. It was gonna be my second favorite behind Die Ranger, but Jetman is still my second favorite. I think that it really did pull it down. And actually, Mega Ranger has a great final, like 7 episodes or so. A great final arc. I think sticking the landing is important, and Kakuranger does resolve a lot of issues. And there was a reunion movie that came out a couple months ago, actually, because the anniversary of Kakuranger was last year, and it ended in February of 1995, which was 20 years ago, very close to where we're at. So they did a reunion movie where they're all kind of adults again. It's like an OVA, and I really enjoyed that. So get your hands on that after you see Kakuranger, because it's worth seeking out. It's a great reunion. They brought back all the actors they could. They actually progressed the story, and there's a lot of cool surprises. So Kakuranger was a treat to watch, and I hope you give it a shot. It's on Tubi right now for free. You can buy the DVDs from Shout Factory, but if you want to just stream it for free, it's on Tubi for free. You don't even have to make an account. And there's other Sentai on there too. So, man, what a great show. What a fun time I had watching this. It's just a good time. You know, even the dark stuff was good. Even the emotional stuff was great. It was not quite it didn't hit the highs of Die Ranger, but there were a couple times where it came close. So those are my thoughts on Ninja Sentai Kakuranger. If you've seen it, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you haven't, go see it now. It's on Tubi. Take care.